Now, I I've known about this for some time, and um, I wasn't fully as powerful as what was needed. Um, how can I say this? Most of my life experiences have been um, sort of a lesson in how to gain power. And like when I was a child, I knew an awful lot of information. And then I was being abused by parents who constantly said they loved me. And the churches, religion, and doctors, the medical world, were all involved in the abuse. They all encouraged my parents to be abusive. Kind of step back at a very young child and try to understand what the hell is going on. And but I still had this sense of, okay, I know what's going on, but I need to learn a lot more information. So my whole entire life has been a process of waking even myself up. It's not like I knew everything. I just could see things other people couldn't see. Then I used the logic that, hey, if I knew this much information, then I knew if I had kids, if I listened to those kids about what they knew, like if my parents were listening to me, they would have had more information. So that's, I knew without a doubt I was supposed to have kids. And for some odd reason, I was blessed with four kids. I knew that more than one was more helpful to me. I also, because I came from a family of three, and I knew that three was always going to be two against one. Two kids were, if two were in a disagreement with each other, then they wouldn't have somebody else to talk to. So I had four kids because I knew within the four, somebody would always have a friend someplace within the family dynamic. And surprisingly, I had two boys and two girls. So I was able to learn from the perspective of the male perspective and have two examples of it. So um, I could see the difference between one example of the male experience as well as a completely different male experience by having two boys. And the same thing with two girls. They are two totally different people, yet they both hold the female perspective. So when I raised these kids, I was listening to them. I had this golden rule that, well, my parents didn't want to listen to me, so I'm going to have kids and listen to them and see what they really have to say. And I tried putting as many positive influences into their lives, as many suggestions of what love is supposed to be, and so they knew the knowledge, but then life experiences like mine sort of got them trapped in the game of life type of thing. But if you can look at the other dimension of how we're all operating, there is a conscious and a subconscious mind. And um, a lot of it is I've been looking at the subconscious mind, and it's what's making you do this? What's influencing you to say those things? Why would you want to say those things? And when you can see that, you see a completely different story. You're not caught up in the wave particle of it, the story of it. We're all caught up in the stories. And we'll all have a story, and those stories can get you caught up in the explanation for 20 years. I mean, if you want to get at a peace table and say, well, you did this, and well, no, you did that. I mean, you can get there. It would be impossible to solve any problem if you're going to get caught up in the story, in the particle wave, because there's only one suggestion, one aspect of that story that will affect your subconscious mind, get you angry, and then while you're angry, you're not going to be communicating. So, getting back, um, I allowed my children to have a voice because the last generation prevented kids from having a voice. It's do what I say and not what I do. Um, and everything they were doing was wrong. So it's like, why would I want to do what you're doing, and why would I listen to what you're saying? And they were like parents trying to teach me happiness while they didn't have a clue about what happiness was. You know, they were focused on work, 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 and disregarded family altogether. And then try and encourage me to look at, that's what life is about. It's all about working. It's all about being the slave and not exactly enjoying your life. That made no logic sense to me. So when I had kids, my firstborn is extremely intelligent, like blow your mind away how much intelligence this kid has. But he's stuck in his logic mind, and he does have a huge sense of love in his heart, massive love of, but he has no awareness of it. um, he knows he loves family, but he doesn't recognize his own control within himself, so he feels he needs to control all so that everything will work out. If you only listen to me because I'm so smart, um, then the world will operate perfectly. It's sort of like how evil is even operating. It's like, I know all, and if you all just listen to me, then everything will be all right. And my son is not evil. Um, he's just doing his best with what he knows. And what was always happening is, anytime I was trying to discipline him or try to guide him down a better direction, the kid would always come up with a reason. Well, no, he would always have a good argument as to why what he was doing was the right thing to do. And I was open to that. I wanted my kids to have a voice. So, as the parent trying to guide the child, anytime I had something to say, he would always find a logical way and a logical reason as to why not. Why not allow me to do what I'm going to do? This is like, oh my God, I created a monster, because that allowed him to constantly just use his logic mind and find over and over and over again how many ways he can defeat me. Whatever logic I came up with, he increased his brain to know how to overcome the logic of what I was saying. So, and the kid won most of the time. He's damn smart. But what it was doing to me is, I knew if I had to guide my children down a proper path, I always had to be one step ahead of him. So what he was doing to me, if I didn't give up, was constantly trying to, okay, how can I outwit you? How can I be smarter than you? How can I, at the end of the day, if I am right, if I am making any sense, I should be able to come up with the logic that you can never, ever, ever dispute. So it's been a process of me being smarter than evil. And it's not to say that my son was evil. Um, he just was a kid that was trying to get his way all the time, and he was using his logic mind to do so, and he's the male perspective of it, and he has the support of the universe. He definitely had his father's support. Anytime these guys wanted to not be responsible or accountable, they just wanted to go out and have some fun, no matter what the cost, the two would always gang up on me. So I had to constantly be emotionally and intellectually smarter than them, so that they would use some reasoning in the choices that they made. My son actually is paying the price for that, because he's dealing with some health problems. They went out on a quad and it flipped the quad, and he injured his back, and then his father said, don't tell your mother. And he's not able to heal it. If he was able to communicate with his mother, his back problems would get better, but he still does not want. Now his reasoning is to attack, put down, lower, that his is his way of trying to get me to listen to his point of view. And I've had to block him out because there's just, I want a peaceful, loving conversation, and he's not capable of that right now. I'll continue.